Hi guys, I hope you all are doing well and everybody in your family as well. Very sorry we have to end the year, or at least the next 4 weeks like this, especially for you seniors. I know it's got to be a little bit bittersweet after all you've accomplished in the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm celebrating you and all that you've done and for being seniors at Jesuit, and I'm sure Jesuit's going to find a way to celebrate you all too. So um, that being said, let's just make the best of it. I'm going to keep this super simple at the end of the year. I want everybody to feel comfortable that they can have a successful ending to the year. So there's no point in making this overly stressful on anybody. So what I'm going to show you here first is on my website what you need to, or my syllabus, what you need to look at. Make sure you scroll down and you read the little note. It has some things that I want you to do. Number one, sending right here, sending to this email address an email to me from your Gmail account. If you don't have a Gmail account, then you need to make sure you go and open one, because that's how we're going to share documents between each other than posting them here on Canvas. So you do need to have a Gmail account. That's the first thing you need to do. Is you notice under assignment dates here, number one says by tomorrow at 8 p.m. everybody needs to have sent me an email. Just doesn't have to have anything in it, just letting me know that you have a Gmail account. I would like any assignments that I ask you to turn in to be sent to this Gmail account, and it'll allow me, and I actually would rather you share it, so if you can make it a Google Doc, that would be great, and you can just share it with me. That way I can make sure you make it editable so that I can make comments on it and give you feedback. So that's kind of how we're going to share documents. Also, obviously on turnitin.com, we'll be turning some papers in there. So that's going to have to do with our first assignment, which we're going to get into in just a minute, which is going to take you through probably the middle of next week to the end of next week, our first writing assignment. First thing though, before we get into that, is I would like you to make sure that you look here under vocabulary. It's got the next 3 units. We will be testing quizzing on Fridays for vocabulary. So next Friday, you will have a vocabulary quiz that will probably, I'd say probably need to be taken by 8 o'clock is what I'm thinking. I'll post it for 24 hours, probably 12 to 24 hours for you to take it. So you won't have that long to take it. You'll have like, I don't know, 15 minutes to take it, but so that's coming up. Please make sure that you are checking the syllabus every day, because your assignments will be here in orange at the top of the syllabus, because quizzes and things do not go on to assignments or the calendar until I actually make up the online quiz. So, and that could be at the last minute. That being said, let's talk about your first assignment other than vocabulary and sending me an email, which I hope everybody can do. And then next thing we're going to talk about right here is this assignment, the Modest Proposal Satire Essay. And okay, so what you're going to be doing is modeling an essay after Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal, which we ended with at the end of the quarter, which was going to allow us, obviously, to knock out an essay very quickly here. I think this one could be an interesting one. It's a lot more creative than typically your essays are. You get to use your creativity in here, a little sarcasm, a little irony. So you're going to use some of those devices that we saw Swift use so eloquently in his essay. So you're going to start just like it says here in paragraph 1. This paragraph right here, the blue paragraph right now, you're going to start off your paragraph telling me what your social, choose a social institution or a problem that you could write a satirical essay about. I would prefer, and actually I'm requesting, that it is not what you did your research paper on. I want you to think about something else for a while. Some suggestions obviously would be politics, school, fashion, relationships, religion, but there's so many other things. Overpopulation, you could do crime, you could do the environment, you could do technology, so all kinds of things you could write on. In this, because you are going to be using satire, you are going to be needing to make sure that you are make sure that you're using it with satire, and there's always a sense of sarcasm behind satire. There should be no sense of seriousness behind this. So just make sure you mind your manners and be careful with the topic that you select. And I'm actually going to have to approve the topic. So obviously you don't want anything encouraging violence against another race or religion, nationality, a belief system. So make sure what you're choosing to write about is not inappropriate. The first thing you're going to do is state right here, as it says, you're going to state the problem in your first paragraph. So your first paragraph is going to just state what the problem is, give me some background details, why you think it's a problem. And then this next paragraph that you're going to talk about, we're going to make this the orange paragraph. You're going to come up with an outrageous solution to your problem, just like Swift's, suggesting that we eat children to solve the problem of starving children. So you must come up with a suggestion that is over the top, completely impractical, but treated as the most rational solution ever. And that's where your sarcasm, your satirical devices, irony, all of those are going to come into play to prove that you are being, it is impractical, but you are treating it as satire. So you're going to come up with an outrageous solution. Remember how Swift outlines and enumerates the advantages to a solution of eating babies? So you're going to have to come up with a list, before you ever start writing, a list of 3 advantages to your solution and explain them. And then you're also going to have to include, and I'm going to get rid of this 3 and just say include 3 realistic solutions to your problem that will work in the real world. So remember how he brought up the good solutions, but insisted that they would not work. So again, even when you flip to the other side, when you have a reversal, you want to make sure that there's still a good sense of sarcasm there and irony in what you're saying. So you want to call attention to the problem that you want to be solved, but this time they're going to be realistic solutions. However, you're going to be with the tone of sarcasm, saying that they're pointless. There's no reason that these weak solutions would work, or ridiculous solutions. So you're going to have a complete reversal, still maintaining the sense of satire. And then within those paragraphs there, so you could have anywhere. So here you have in the blue, you have 1. Here you have probably up to 3 paragraphs at this point. You could include these. You're just going to have to see how much you're going to enumerate on them and draw them out. You know how I feel about paragraphs, so make sure if you're switching ideas, transition and switch paragraphs. Remember, in his essay, he had paragraphs that were literally 1 amazing sentence long. So I'm looking for those great sentences. I'm looking for paragraphing in this. This is a great opportunity to practice kind of unconventional paragraphing, we'll call it. So you could possibly have, in this green section here, you could have 3 paragraphs here. You could have another 3 paragraphs here in this kind of purple section. That being said, within those paragraphs, you need to include, you need to include at least 5 satirical devices. And if we look here, it's including the following techniques to make the comment. Whoops, no, that's not. Whoops, it didn't change. I need to change that. So I've given you some here that we didn't really get to talk about, but I think you would have recognized them in Swift once you remember what hyperbole and incongruity and a parody and a reversal, understatement. So those are all ones we didn't necessarily get to talk about at the end of the quarter because we were so rushed. But go through and read those. Those are great techniques to use, but also go back to, and I'll post this on the current syllabus, make sure you go back and you look at the PowerPoint that describes the different kind of devices, and use at least 5 satirical devices. I want you to highlight and label these devices in your final draft, which we'll talk about later on. Finally, at the bottom of your draft, I want you to include a typed paragraph explaining whether or not your essay is Horatian or Juvenalian, and explain why. Then explain the overall meaning and purpose of your satire, including an explanation of at least 3 of your satirical devices and their rhetorical effect and their purpose in this essay. What are you trying to accomplish? So that, we're just going to make that just a separate paragraph, completely a little bit of an analysis of your paragraph, we'll call it. So that's going to be completely separate from your essay. That is what you guys are going to be working on. If we switch back to, our syllabus here, you can see where next, let's see, when is it? Next Tuesday at 8 p.m., the writing, if we look back on here, at the bottom of this document that is on my syllabus, it gives you the rubric. You can look through that. We're not going to spend too much time right now on that. But here is your outline for a modest proposal, and I want you to have this filled out. Paragraph 1, who does it affect? What's the issue? When, where is it happening? Why is it happening? What's the solution? Your outrageous solution. How will it work? Why will it work? List and explain at least 3 advantages to the problem. You can take these lines away, and you can, if that'll be easier for you to do in your document. And then your 3 realistic solutions, we're going to just get rid of that and make it 3 realistic solutions. And then your conclusion, you're going to restate your problem, summarize why it's logical, and connect to the reader. This being very important. Remember, always connecting to the reader. That is due next Tuesday at 8. I would probably take a couple of days to get through all of these, and then we'll talk about when the rough draft is due. So this should keep you busy for a few days. Remember, studying for vocabulary is also really important. Right now, we're not going to focus on any novel except for reading Macbeth, which I wrote in my little note to you, which will start probably in a week and a half or so. And not quite sure how we're going to do that together. I'm thinking we just might watch the movie and then look in our books and talk about some of the passages, just to keep it simple. So that's all I have for you today. So be working on this assignment. I will be available, excuse me, I will be available during office hours, and which will be your actual class period time according to whatever day it is. So I will check in for at least 15 minutes to see if anybody has questions. If you do, join me on the conference, in which I will invite you to via Canvas, and we can have a little question and answer time. So again, I hope you guys are well. I'm going to miss being in the classroom with you, so please stay safe and be smart. All right, take care, and I will talk to you maybe tomorrow.